this #1 bed, broccoli's still doing real good. You can see the newer growth is a much darker green. It's still got a little bit of yellowing from a lack of iron. I'm waiting on some more chelated iron to get here, but you can see how much greener the newer growth is as compared to the old growth. So the old stuff isn't really darkening up, but the new growth is a lot better. So I just need to get some more iron in there, and I'm waiting on some bacteriological treatment that I can use for whatever's been damaging. Like this radish here just ate the root away. There's nothing there but a couple leaves now. But the snow peas are doing great. I do that a lot. I got to stop going. Snow peas are doing great. Radishes are doing so-so, depends on the bed they're in. Broccoli's doing really good. Red cabbage is doing great. The cauliflower that's in the beds is doing a lot better than what's on the ground. But I did have the problem in this one with the radishes again, whatever's eating those roots. And this bed still gets overly full before it starts draining. I mean, it'll be a good 3/4 of an inch above the standpipe. I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. There's no roots or anything to block it up, so I'm still struggling with that. But that's why the top of the rocks is so much damper over up in there, and you see the algae on it. I might have to cut the standpipe even shorter. But you can see this radish is doing pretty good. This one here is doing a lot better. That one back there is hanging on, although not really progressing or producing much of a root yet. But all the cabbage in the grow beds is doing good. You know, again, same thing. The newer growth is a lot more green. The old growth was just lacking the iron. The Tabascos that I put in there are hanging in there, so hopefully they're rooting for me. The turnips are, like I said, a little yellow. It was that lack of iron from when we started the system. I never added anything to bring the iron back in it, and I should have. But they're growing, so I'm happy with that. Again, I think I messed up and put a turnip over here instead of a radish. I thought that was a radish, but I don't think it is now. The kohlrabi is doing pretty good over here, except for this one that's a little stunted. I think something is eating the roots of it as well, because this one was up taller and it fell over. It's got some dead bugs on the back of the leaves. So, but the squash is doing pretty good, except this one, for some reason, the stem split. I don't know what happened, but it still got growth on it. So I'm just going to keep bringing it around and see if I can get it to keep going. But the other squash is doing good. It just laid right over as it should have. So I'm going to be able to do pretty good with the squash, I hope. I don't know what happened to this leaf. Maybe some insects are surviving here. Yeah, there's one hanging on. But for the most part, the squash is doing good. Like I said, the squash in the back, I'm going to try to go up over the back with and just let it hang. The stuff in the front, I'm going to try to integrate into the bed and maybe work over towards this fence, depending on how the cucumbers do. And the cucumbers, even though I am keeping it fairly warm in the greenhouse, they're not really liking it much. I'm getting good new growth on them, but the older growth gets those little burn areas on it every time it gets down around 40 or so in here, which most of the plants are doing okay with that. I've got these two tomato suckers that I started in here. Well, one was part of it that broke off. Then the other one I started to root for my brother-in-law. You can see how this radish is huge right here. I mean, that's bigger than my thumb. So it'll be ready to pull up whenever I decide to pull it. The one iceberg lettuce that survived all the insects is doing okay. And this one back here is making a comeback. And this one made a comeback. I thought it was going to be completely dead, but they're trying to come back. So maybe the neem oil helped. I'm still going to use the bacteria stuff when it gets here. I ordered it yesterday, I believe. Now the eggplant, I went through the other day with a paintbrush, tried to hit all the flowers and get them fertilized, and we had a warm day, so I opened up the door hoping some insects could get in. The tomatoes are doing good. They're hanging in there. The radishes are doing good in this bed. Tomatoes are all doing good, even the one that's buried back there and doesn't get much sun. Now, as far as the eggplant, as you can see, there's two, maybe three, and yeah, there's three in that shot right there. And there's a couple more back there you don't see. I took a count the other day. There's another one back there hanging. But I took a count the other day when I was doing that with the paintbrush, trying to fertilize these flowers. There were 11 fruits on here. So I don't think I really need too many more right now. So I'm not going to try to fertilize or the hand by hand fertilization again for a while. I might, I don't know, but there's, like I said, there's 11 of them hanging on there. That eggplant is huge. I can't believe, I mean, it's flowering still. Even with the cold weather we've had, I figured it would have dropped some flowers, but it didn't. So that bed's doing great. That eggplant's huge. The blackberry vines that I put in there are hanging on. Didn't really appear to have the problems with the gnats down in this one that I had in the other beds. So I'm really satisfied with it. This was the worst bed by way of gnats, which is why I started some more seeds. I started some more iceberg lettuce I was going to put in here after I treat it, and a few more things. Like I said, the cucumbers, they like the, hot weather better. So it was more of an experiment than anything. So if they don't make it, I don't really care. That's fine by me. Like I said, the stems kind of got attacked by whatever has been eating everything anyway. So this is the only stem that's pretty much intact. You can see damage to all the stems. That one looks kind of intact. So it's kind of an experiment to see how they tolerate the cold weather. If they don't make it, I don't really care. It would be nice to have cucumbers in January, but if not, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. The squash is acorn squash and butternut squash, both of them cool weather squash, or so I was led to believe. So hopefully they should do okay. The kohlrabi's doing okay. Everything else I planted, I believe, is pretty much cool weather plantings. So we should do okay with that stuff.